Before we jump into today's show, I just wanted to mention my free masterclass, Understanding the Power of Podcasting, is on demand right now. You can go over to donnae.com/masterclass and gain access to this free masterclass that is going to help you if you're somebody who's been thinking about podcasting or people have been telling you need to podcast. It's going to walk you through how you could use podcasting in your business to amplify your message and to grow your audience. So that's donnae.com/masterclass. You're listening to the Mindset and Action Podcast, the place to be to grow and streamline your business. I'm your host, Donna Ede. Let's jump into the show. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I am so excited to have you here today for this episode. Today is episode 2 of the live podcast series. So for those of you who don't know, I ran a live event at the beginning of April to celebrate 5 years of this podcast, and I had 5 guests and myself did sessions at that event, and I am giving them to you here live on the podcast. So today we have Andrea Rainsford with us. Andrea has such a unique and fantastic story to share. She has been through a hell of a lot, and she is absolutely a true fighter in every sense of the word, and has just been able to create such a wonderful space for women in business. So we are going to jump into that session, take a listen to Andrea's story. Our focus was planning and why planning in our business is important. Our episode last week was with Nicola Tonsaga, so you can go back and listen to that one. That was a mindset episode, and we have got 4 more sessions coming in the next coming week. So make sure you are subscribed where you listen so that you don't miss an episode. And if you are on a platform that allows you to leave a review, I would love it if you would review the podcast. It makes a huge difference. So let's jump into this episode with Andrea Rainsford.
Now, is that everybody back? Let me know if you're not here. Okay, I think that's everybody about that. I think it's all. Ready for our next session. Andrea Rainsford, come up to the mic.
Hello.
Right, now, Andrea, you speak quite softly, so you're
Hello.
going to have to... There you go.
Everybody hear me at the back? Lincoln, can you hear me at the back? Thank you very much. I'm on brand today. If I didn't turn up in brand colours, my brand person would shoot me. So.
Yeah. Okay, so Andrea Rainsford, welcome
Hello.
to the stage.
Thank you very much for having me.
Please introduce yourselves to everybody and let them know who you are and what it is that you do.
Hello, I'm Andrea. Nice to meet you. What do I do? I love advocating for women. I think that we need a cheerleader. So I'm your biggest cheerleader. I like the whoop, thank you very much. We'll have a few more of those. I think that what I see, apologies Lincoln, is that in the self-employed running your own business space is that women tend to earn less than men doing exactly the same role, about 38%. And that's because on the whole, we don't believe in ourselves. We just don't think we can do it. We put, like we've been talking with Nicola a few moments ago, we don't believe how brilliant we are. And my post in my community group this morning was, it's Tell Us Thursday. Tell us how brilliant you are, was the post this morning. And we need to tell people how brilliant we are. So I help women to grow businesses, to grow their businesses, not just any business. I've been doing it for 32 years. I know I don't look that old. I was a child when I started. And I also run a community. Debbie asked me this morning when I came in, why do you call it a community rather than a network? And I think it's because I've had so many bad experiences with networking. And so I wanted mine to be a community, a safe space where you can use your own voice and you can be yourself.
I love that. And I love being part of your community. I need to get more involved.
We like having you. Thank you very much.
I need to get more involved, but yeah, it is a lovely place to be. And I was at Andrea's event a couple of weeks ago, and it was phenomenal. So many great people in the room and so many fabulous speakers on the stage. So, Andrea, the reason I have brought you on stage today is to talk about planning.
Don't all stop, running for the doors.
Don't stop listening.
Don't nod off just yet.
So because it's a fundamental thing in our businesses, and I think it's one of those tasks that a lot of us will avoid doing because we don't want to do it. It's boring. It's not the fun stuff, but it can bring about so much of your favourite word. So tell us about...
Don't know what that is.
Tell us about your business and how you are currently running it.
The word she's alluding to is freedom, and I think Nicola picked up on that a few minutes ago. Freedom is everything, and I think that I wrote a post on LinkedIn the other day. I'm friends with many of you on LinkedIn, so it's lovely to see so many faces. The post that I wrote was turning up on LinkedIn at 7:00 every morning to engage for an hour, to then post to engage for another hour, just so that you get traction, just so that your dream client sees you, isn't freedom for me. I just can't do that anymore. Like Nicola was saying, the way that we're taught to do marketing and the way that we're advised to do marketing doesn't sit with the way that I want to live my life. And there's a huge reason for that. And I do only work 2.5 days a week max. Nobody believes that I do. That's okay, because they don't need to. I know the truth, and I see behind the scenes. I think because my content is scheduled and because I pop in my group quite regularly, everybody thinks that I work a 5-day week, and I don't. What I normally hear from women is, you can't possibly be earning sufficient amount of income on 2.5 days. I am. I don't need to qualify that. I don't need to prove it to anybody. That is the reality. And there's a huge reason why I do that. So planning is incredibly important. Like this week, because Donna very kindly asked me to speak, I work Monday morning, I work Tuesday morning, and I'm working today, and that's me done for the week. On Monday afternoon, I was off walking. Tuesday afternoon, I was out walking. Yesterday, I had my nails done, I had a pedicure, I had my brows done, and I basically sat on the sofa and binge watched Netflix. So planning is incredibly important because it allows me to work those 2.5 days.
I think that's phenomenal. Andrea, tell us a little bit about why freedom's so important to you.
Oh, I knew that was coming. Deep breath. I don't like sharing my story. I share it for one reason and one reason only. And that is because I'm hoping that somebody sitting here today will listen, take notice, and do something about it before it gets too late. So I went to the Big Festoon last week. I don't know if was anybody at the Big Festoon last week? Nobody. It's a 2-day event in Bolton with Danny Wallace, and the very first speaker onto the stage was Debbie Waite. I don't know if any of you have ever met Debbie Waite. And the first thing she said that triggered the heck out of me, and I was in a sobbing mess for about an hour, was we push and push and push, and we hustle in business until we nearly kill ourselves. And that was the first thing that she said, which leads me on to the fact that I nearly killed myself. So I worked in corporate for Ernst & Young for about 25 years. I was a business development director for globally for business for corporate finance. I was in a very male-dominated world. I didn't work with any women at all. So back then, because we're going back quite a while, you had to push incredibly hard to stand out. I'm going to jump forward quite quickly. So I was diagnosed with ME first. ME is basically adrenal fatigue, and your body's giving out on you. I was pitching to, I think I'd got a team together to pitch to Renault in Leeds, and I'd driven up to Leeds. I collapsed in the office and I never went back to work. I got home, I had private healthcare with my job. The doctor said to me, "You won't be going back to work," and I thought there was something seriously wrong with him, because I thought, there's no way I won't be going back to work. So I thought, I'll show him, in true Andrea style, I'll show him that I can get back to work. What actually happened was the complete opposite. 2 years later, I did get married the next year to the most amazing man that's walking the planet. And the year after that, I had a stroke. I was 32. It wasn't a tiny little simple one. It was enormous. I couldn't speak. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't toilet myself. I couldn't walk. I was in hospital for 6 months. I was in my hospital bed in our front room for 5 years. I didn't see the outside for a very, very, very long time. I am sharing this with you because we can become incredibly blinkered. We can have the end goal, and a bit like Nicola was saying, is you need to tap into your body and you needed to listen. I was so in my head, it was untrue. I didn't listen or didn't care what my body was doing. It's the most important thing to me now. I work with Nicola. I've been working with Nicola for quite a while. We listen to my body every week or every other week or how often we meet. My body is the most important thing to me, and that's the reason why I only work 2.5 days. But it was the longest road back. It took me 17 years to learn to walk. I've only been walking about 18 months, which is the reason why I'm rocking up in green heels today, because I am going to wear them because I couldn't wear them for such a long time. Thank you. So, yeah, your health, your life, your family are the most important things to you. Your business isn't. You know, my business is important, but when people start getting a little bit tetchy and they start getting a little bit mardy because I haven't replied to their email and I haven't replied to their social media posts, they can do one, because it's, you know, it's that isn't my life. My life is making up on all the years that I didn't have, and I will advocate for anybody. I will stand up and help anybody, but it's got to be in my time, on my agenda. And anybody that tries to push me into doing anything more, woe betide them.
I love that. And I think it's so important, because I think we have grown up in a world that is just go, go, go. And it just seems to be getting faster and faster. And with technology moving, everything's moving at such a pace. And humans were not made to do that. It's like we can't keep going. And I think as women especially, but I think generally, we don't take care of our health as well as we should. We don't take the time to actually look at how do we feel, get back into our bodies and really feel those feelings and take the time. And I think a lot of people are stuck in that hustle mentality. Like, I have got to work 9 till 5 because otherwise I haven't earned the money that I've made. How many of us feel like if I don't work all the hours, then I'm not worthy of the money that I'm making? So it's one of those things where we've got to learn that actually, no, our knowledge and the things that we are giving, whether it's done in 1 hour or 10 hours, can still be valuable. And it's just amazing what you have achieved. So what I would like us to talk about is, how would you say somebody going about planning their freedom, whatever that looks like? It might be that you want to do 2.5 days a week. It may be that you want to do 4 and have every Friday off. It may be that you want to actually work the weekend because for whatever reason that works better for you. How do you think people should go about evaluating where they are right now and how they can actually plan better for their future?
I would think there's many of you sat here now thinking, am I pushing my body too hard? Are the signs there? Do I actually stop and listen to how I'm feeling? I think when you get into your 40s and your 50s, I know we get lots of aches and pains, don't we? I'm trying to figure out what's normal for a 50-year-old woman and what's the after effects of being sick. So I want you to all stop, and I want you to take some time to get into your bodies, and I want you to stop and I want you to listen. And I think that if I asked you the question, what's the one thing that you would love to achieve by the end of next year? There's going to be something that pops into your heads. There's going to be something that pops up. There's going to be one thing that pops in. And I want you to actually stop and think about whether you're on a track to get in there, or you're letting other things get in your way. Are you letting other people influence you? Because I think the one thing that I see day in, day out is people look left and right too much. You're looking at what everybody else is doing. I couldn't give a rat's ass what anybody else is doing. I really couldn't. I mean, people have always got an opinion about what I'm doing. That's okay. They're entitled to their opinion. I can't change it. I can't change what they think of me. We were having this conversation this morning. There's going to be a lot of people that don't like us. There are going to be a lot of people that do things differently to the way we do. We've just got to let them get on with it, because that's them, that isn't us. But are you making yourself truly happy? Are you spending enough time with the kids? Are you spending enough time with your partner? Are you spending enough time on your own? Because the one thing that I do every week in my diary is I plan me time. I plan my Pilates classes. I plan my yoga. I plan my walking. I mean, I'm obsessed with walking. It's a bit of a problem. It's like I've got my walking boots on every day because obviously I didn't walk for such a long time. I have to walk most days now. But are you making time for the important stuff? Are you doing the stuff that you think you should do? Are you thinking that you're doing the stuff that you think you've got to do to impress others? Or are you doing the stuff that you want to do? I've got a number of ladies in my mastermind, so I help women to create consistent income, but consistent income based on freedom. And I've got women that have completely pivoted because they're just not happy. They're not happy doing what they're doing. They're putting a mask on and saying, well, that's what's bringing the money in at the moment, so that's what I've got to do. But that's just utter rubbish. It really is, because you are brilliant, whether you believe it or you don't believe it. And you know what your superpower is, and you know what you were put on this earth to do. Deep down you do. And if you're not doing it, there's still time. I think what I tend to see is women that are hitting their 50s think, I'm running out of time. The clock's ticking. And it's there's usually something big that makes you do or makes you change. Janine said to me this morning, do you stick to your 2.5 days? I do now, because what I haven't told you is, I got sick again, so I did have a stroke, but 18 months ago I found a tumour in my throat, and I looked at the ceiling and went, are you having a laugh? And I looked up, said, and how am I going to get through this? But the most amazingly beautiful thing came out of it is that they damaged my vocal cords when they took the tumour out. And my husband had been made redundant, so the income was down to me. And I thought, I'm going to set up a Facebook group to market my business while I'm not very well and while I'm coming back from this tumour. And I called it Women Winning in Business. And the reason that I called it Women Winning in Business was because I thought I want it to be a positive space. I want them to realise that they're winning at business, whether, at the stage that they're at, no matter what they're doing, the fact that they're showing up every day, they're winning. We started off with 200 women 18 months ago. We're now at 2,500. We're going to be in 15 cities by the end of April. We only started the first one in October. And what it's based on is kindness. That's it. It's a kind space. You can show up and you use your voice, and nobody is going to be unkind to you. And I always say to everybody that joins, it doesn't matter what your skin colour is, it doesn't matter what your sexuality is, it doesn't matter what your religion is. If you're a dick, you're a dick, and you're not welcome. And that is the ethos for the group.
Sorry, Lincoln.
Men. We have lots of men in our communities, don't we? We have some beautiful souls, because it isn't about women. It's men that are supporting women. It's everybody that wants to lift women up and realise how brilliant they are. We have 4 empowerment days a year. We have abundance, flourish, shine, and succeed, because it's all about all of you. It's about you standing in a space where you walk into a room and you're enveloped with a hug, and it's all about kindness. So planning has gone out the window a little bit, because I didn't plan Women Winning in Business, and I didn't plan Affinity, and I didn't plan the empowerment days. So I'm having to be really, really religious with my time at the moment. It's growing so quickly that I'm not blinking. But what I'm finding is that I'm being dragged away from my mastermind. I'm being dragged away from teaching women how to grow their businesses. And what I'm actually doing is creating spaces for women to shine. So I'm going with it, because I've been trying to go backwards, haven't I? I've been trying to say, no, I'm not doing that. I want to do what I know. And that's the thing, is we try to stick to what we know. We try to stick to what's familiar. I'm being pulled in a different direction. Beautiful souls like Gemma keep saying to me, I'm the missing piece of the puzzle, which every time I feel like giving up, when somebody says things like that to me, then I'm keeping going. I've got no idea where it's going. But what I do know is that I've got to stick to my 2.5 days, because my health is more important than anything.
I love that. So if anybody's got a question, keep it in mind. I am going to ask one question that I got through the form that I sent out. And that is, how do you decide what you say yes and what you say no to?
Tap into my body. Nicola's taught me that I've got to... It's not about alignment, it's about... I go by people's energy. I'm sure you get it all the time. If you send a friend request to somebody, they'll message you and say, is there a reason why you've connected with me, or can I help you, or something along those lines. And my response is always the same. I like your profile picture. I get good energy from you, and it's always the same answer. I tend to connect with people that I like their energy, and they feel like a nice human being to me. But what do I say yes to? The reason I said yes to this is because Nicola suggested it, and I trust Nicola wholeheartedly. I go with my gut feeling. If my gut's off, then I don't tend to do it anymore, because that's sort of my North Star. That's sort of guiding me forward.
Love that. Thank you. Anybody else got any questions? Oh, look. Now, please wait. I have got a lovely assistant who's coming around with a microphone so we can get you on the podcast.
Hello. Hiya. At the beginning, you said that women hold themselves back because they don't believe they're good enough. But I find that actually I do think I'm good enough. I think I'm amazing at
That's
what
great.
I do. But the thing that I think I struggle with a lot is that I worry. It's like this women's sense of community. I worry that I put my prices up, people can't afford me. And I don't want to be inaccessible to those people. So I feel like, how do you deal with that as more of an issue?
I haven't touched on my business model, which is one of the things I haven't spoke about. One of the things that I will answer your question in a very roundabout sort of way, if that's okay. So I'm actually moving from 2.5 days a week to 3 days a month, and people don't think that that's possible. But the reason that I'm moving to 3 days a month is because I wasn't happy. I was really unhappy. So I was looking at my diary, and on a Monday and a Tuesday it would be full of Zoom calls. I just can't do it anymore. I can't wake up on a Monday and a Tuesday and speak to lots of people. That isn't me being unsociable. I just didn't feel like I was living my life. So I had to sit and think about how could I serve, like you were saying, the people that need me most, plus the people at different stages. How can I help all of them and help and look after myself at the same time? And I've come up with a new business model called Haven, which I turn up 3 days a month, once in the north, once in the Midlands, and once in the south. And that day in the morning, I have a larger group of women between 20 and 30, where I teach them the fundamentals of what they need to be able to grow their businesses. Then after lunch, I do a mastermind where we apply that learning to specific group of people, which is 5 to 7, and then I do one-to-one before I go home. So I work one day, but I'm teaching a larger group that can't afford to do the mastermind. Then I'm doing the mastermind where we apply the learning to their business, and then I've got the one-to-one in as well. So rather than working a full week, I'm doing one day where I'm covering all 3 groups of people. So they will sign up for a set period of time. They will learn set number of steps, which will probably be around 10 steps. So they'll need to commit to around 10 months. But the women in the morning, it's going to be a lower fee, because I'm teaching them rather than helping them do the work. The mastermind that we have after lunch, which is going to be around 7 to 10, we apply the learning to their business, and I'm going to be actually helping them. They're going to be getting my advice. And then I don't do any one-to-one at all at the moment, because that was my choice. All of my income comes from one thing. So I do one thing to one group of people with one solution, with one outcome. And that's how I've earned my income for around 5 years. The Haven has come about because I don't want to do that model anymore, and it doesn't work and it doesn't make me happy. I wasn't sure if people would want it. I wasn't sure if people would do it. I think it was 100 people sign up to hear about it within an hour of putting it out, so that the universe told me that this is the path for me to go down. And I'm holding my first event, I think it's on the 7th of May. So, but like you said, I couldn't just do high ticket. High ticket doesn't make me happy. I could charge thousands of pounds to work with one-to-one with somebody, but it's the ladies that are coming through, the ladies that are starting out, the ladies that need me the most, and that's where the larger group comes in the morning, in the first morning of the day.
Thank you very much, Trudy. Lincoln had a question. Hello.
As the only man in the room, I can say thank you for looking the way you look.
Thank you.
And for the ladies in the room, I'll say this first of all. Don't worry about my presence. I'm I have great empathy for where you are. And because of what I do, I have a vested interest in everything that's been said today, which brings me to my question to you. You are very defiant. You are very, very, very strong. And you know your journey. My question is this, if you can answer it briefly. At what point were you the current of life takes us in a particular direction, and we make a decision that we are not going to travel in that direction of the current. When did you make that realization that you were not going to be that person? 2, when were you able to be courageous to execute all that strength that you display. Because the thing that struck me about you speaking is that you mean what you say when you say you're not going to get up at 7 a.m. and do that nonsense of LinkedIn that we've all been, those of us that have been to coaching with LinkedIn coaches, and there's a million of them, and we've all spent money and all the rest of it. And you said, and that caught my attention, I'm not doing it. You've probably said that for a very long time. But when were you able to pull the trigger and do it with intention in a meaningful way? Do you see what I mean? How long was that? How long was that journey when you had the power to then say, right, I'm going to do it and be that person, as opposed to wish to be that person?
I think something major has to happen. So when I'm teaching women to grow their businesses, when I'm teaching them anything, they only actually start taking action and take it seriously and really putting in the work when there's something huge. So when I found the tumor and I was sick for the second time, I looked to the sky and said, I'm not going to get a third chance. And I know I'm not going to get a third chance. I'll be taken out next time. And I know that. I've got to take better care of myself. And that was the point. That there's always something huge that makes you change your mind. Now, you'd think the stroke was huge enough. But I think that after the stroke, I was desperate to come back to life. I was desperate to be the person that I was before. I was desperate to be Andrea that was in corporate. She was gone. She wasn't coming back, and it took me quite a while to figure out I wasn't going to be her anymore. And I'd got to try this new Andrea, this new version on, and I'd got to try her on for size. I sat at home after my operation, and I realised that I hadn't got it in me anymore. I hadn't got it in me to get up at 7 o'clock. The first thing that happened was, I'm not too sure how to say this, but those of you that are on LinkedIn at 7 o'clock every morning are so used to posting and engaging, you're used to a certain level of visibility. So your posts get a lot of traction, you get a lot of comments, you get a lot of visibility. So I've been used to that for quite a long time. That dropped off, and so you got the first thing to think is, well, I need that, because like Nicola was saying, to a certain degree, you want the external validation. You want people to tell you that it's okay and that you're doing a good job. So the toughest thing was for me to tap into myself and say, it's okay to walk your path. You haven't got to walk the path of everybody else. It's incredibly lonely. I'm not going to sit here and say it hasn't been lonely. I am very lonely, because you walk your own path. You're not, there's people that are coming on this journey with me, and like Nicola says, they're gonna change route. They're going to go in a different direction. But it was the realisation that I've got to do this on my own. I can't rely on the people that comment on my posts. I can't rely on the people that are, telling me, patting me on the back, telling me I'm doing a good job. I've got to do that for myself. And that's, it's still a work in progress. I have to put my phone down. I leave my phone downstairs, so my first thing in the morning isn't just to pick my phone up and seeing what social media is doing. It's still a work in progress, but the one thing that is in the forefront of my mind is I can't make myself sick again. And I do believe that I made myself sick both times. It was me that made myself poorly. I can blame anybody and anything, but the reality is that I'm the one that did it. I'm the one that put my body under pressure.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lincoln. One very quick one, Cheryl. Very quick answer, because otherwise we're going to run over. I don't want to stop people having their tea break.
Hello.
Hello, Andrea. It's just a quick one to follow on, actually. So how did you grow? If you're not on LinkedIn and you're not...
I am on there. I'm just not there, constantly.
Constantly. And did you start from scratch?
No. I've been in business 11 years. So I started my business from my bed while I was recovering. Really, I went back to university and did a degree in computing science, and I started an SEO agency about 11 years ago. I did SEO for around 7 or 8 years, and then I pivoted because basically I was hiding, not doing business growth, because I needed to put my big girl pants on and get back out there and do what I'm great at. So I've been on LinkedIn a long time. I've amassed a lovely following of people, but because I only go on there and I only post when I want to, and I only post when I feel like it, the traction isn't as much and the visibility isn't as much. So it is harder, it is more difficult. But what I have done is brought everybody onto my email list, and I've brought everybody into a Facebook group, and it's the group where I spend the most of my time and where I give them my time and attention.
So would you say that you nurture the Facebook group and then the energy just naturally grows?
We've had 5 sold out empowerment days, and we're now in 15 cities around the UK, and that's come from the group and the email list. It hasn't come from social media. But my recommendation is always you put one solution out there to one group of people, one platform, one outcome, and you smash that before you try to move on to anything else.
I live by that too. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Cheryl. And thank you, Andrea, for talking with us today. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.